Today we're cooking one of my favorites, and it's out of my little handwritten cookbook from the winter of 2016, Chicken and Dumplings. Minus the chicken, because we did not get it with our click list. Welcome to Cooking USA. Let's start out with the ingredients. Heater, because it's flipping cold. Your homemade cookbook with your recipe. Flour, baking soda, salt, milk, butter, chicken broth, chicken. You need a large bowl because you're going to get to mixing in this, and you're going to make a bunch of dumplings. So get you a large bowl, and you need 2 cups of flour. I did not spell flour. Okay, so you need half a teaspoon of baking soda. Bloop. Let's just also go in with half a teaspoon of salt. You don't add too much salt because you're cooking this in broth. Oh crap, we gotta get the broth going. Rewind. Your very first step, which I totally forgot, is gonna be to heat your broth up because it's gonna take forever, and that's what we're cooking our dumplings in. So, quarts of broth. I use the reduced sodium because I care about my triglyceride levels, but do whatever you want. Pro tip, make your own broth. So I've never made broth before, nor do I have a recipe, but in my head it just looks like a couple like chicken pieces and some herbs and onion and stuff, and then you just boil it and this is what comes out. But I'm not 100% sure on that. So, alright, back to the dumplings. So actually, I just want to point out that I wrote my instructions wrong, and I should have put that boiling the broth should have come first, but I did not. So 2016 me was already like screwing me up in 2020. What? My gut says whisk, but then my second gut says use something like this. I think I'm going to go with this, and I'm probably going to regret it. Alright, mixture dry. Okay, so the next part, you're going to get your butter, and you want to use kind of a sharper knife, not a butter knife, because I'll show you why. 2 tablespoons. So for this step, you're going to cube your butter, which is kind of important. You want to keep it cold, so try not to touch it very much with your hands. And hindsight's 2020, I should have left the butter in the fridge for as long as possible. Add your cubed butter. Okay, throw it on in there. Oh gosh, this stuff sticks, doesn't it? All right, make sure you have washed hands because of COVID-19, but also make sure you have washed hands because you're about to cube your butter into your flour, which just means that you're gonna get your hands in here and you're just gonna start smushing your butter. And what it's gonna do is it's just gonna incorporate it into your flour in a way where you can keep the butter cold and not have melted butter. Do you see? So what I mean is that you're going to incorporate your butter into your flour, but it's important for the way that the dumplings bake to make sure butter is still cold. It's like you can't just melt butter and mix it into this mixture. You have to like squish the butter into the flour, and eventually it's going to mimic a more of a wet sand texture versus a dry fluffy flour texture. So that's what we're going for in this sitch. Okay, dumplings. So your texture is wet sand now. You can like press it together and it holds some type of form. This is what you want. That means your butter's incorporated. Okay? Update, I've taken my broth off of the burner because I just don't want it to like reduce down and get super salty. And I haven't made this recipe in a while, so you just kind of have to go with the flow. Hashtag cooking USA. So this is the perfect time to use milk that's expired by 1 day, too. Ooh. Anyways, you just need 1 cup. As long as it's not chunky, you're fine. Don't add that in the video. Okay. Don't over mix your dough, but obviously you want to incorporate it together. So just stir gently to form a dough. All right, so we are going to roll out our flour. Redo that. So we're gonna roll out our dumplings, and you gotta get a little flour on your countertop. For this situation, you do want quite a bit of flour because the dumplings are going to stick, and you definitely don't want that. Also, the flour is gonna thicken up your chicken stock later, so don't be afraid of it. So my okay, so my dough in my bowl was feeling a little bit too sticky, so I'm adding more flour. You don't want it to be super sticky, and don't be afraid to like go with the flow. If your dough is not coming into a nice soft ball, you might need more flour, and that's okay. So I'm really out of breath after trying to search for this rolling pin. You're gonna roll it out. Now, here's a hint. Dough really wants to get into a circle. We kind of want it to get into a square. So you just keep rolling, and it is kind of elasticy. Just keep on going with it. This is how it should look. Oh, fudge. Well, and flip that. All right, so it made about this much. Sprinkle a little bit more flour over the top, rub it in. We made this. This is our little dough baby. I'm so happy. Looks so good. Okay, perfect. So notice the thickness. Want it kind of thin. Well, I don't know. You might like yours thick, whatever. Pro tip. Frick, I didn't mean to put that flour up yet. Hold on. Put a little bit of flour on our plate. You don't have to use a paper plate. But you just don't want your dumplings to start sticking together. That's like the worst thing that could possibly happen. So just make sure it's nice and floured, and that you've got flour on your plate to put your dumplings on. Then in the kitchen, if you don't have flour all over yourself, it's just part of cooking. Our dumplings, you can use several different things. You can use a knife. You can use your handy dandy bench scraper, which we'll use for something else later. I'm gonna use a pizza cutter. So, thank you, LaRose says. We're just gonna start cutting these up. You don't want them too big, and they don't have to be perfect by any means. This is Southern cooking. It's about taste, not just presentation. Now I'm just gonna get my dumplings on my plate, and this is why the flour is so important, because if you don't get the dumplings on the plate, the flour is going to, the dumplings, frick, what did I just say? Can we start over? Gotta say the little dumpling, it was good. Frick, what the heck am I talking about? What was I just saying? So, if you don't have a lot of flour, when you put them on the plate, they're all gonna start sticking together. Don't want that, don't want them to stick. Get a little flour on there. So you've got your dumplings waiting. Your broth is coming to a nice rolling boil. Don't you dare put them in until it's a rolling boil. Let's clean up our area. Let's drop in our dumplings. Leave that flour on there. Just slowly drop those puppies in there. These are gonna be so good. So excited. Very important. Once you get all your dumplings in there, give it a quick stir because you want any dry parts of that dumpling to get covered. Look at these. They're already like pillowing up. That means we did a great job. So let these hang out for a little bit. Thank you, self, for adding this little instruction in 2016 because I did not remember if it was covered or uncovered. It's uncovered. Ah, that's hot. Oh no, I need a pot holder stat. All right, so I have turned my burner down. Oh, shoot. I've turned my burner down and I'm trying to keep this under control, but it is getting wild. I'm gonna tell you a tale of two dumplings. So you've got this dumpling, which is turning a little bit darker colored, If you can tell, that one's getting cooked. And then this dumpling is still very pale. That's not getting cooked yet. So you want one that's more on this side. Keep it cooking. So good. Okay. These are done. All right. So at this point, I would add in my chicken, which I typically use rotisserie chicken for, but they didn't have it at the store. And they also didn't have regular chicken breast, and they also didn't have little chicken tenders. It's as simple as that. Steaming hot, delicious pan of dumplings. And as you'll see, the broth thickened up, which is what we want. And you've got a whole thing of dumplings. I'm gonna eat this for lunch this week, and I'm so pumped. Before I end, I just want to say that if you've ever thought about remembering things in a special way, I remember my little recipes in this homemade journal that my friends made me. And I write little notes right here. Oh look, this salad was served at a very hot pool party for church staff. Everyone loved it and asked for the recipe. This is great for a hot summer day with our church family. This is a great way to journal your recipes, friends. So join us next time on Cooking USA. No clue what I'm gonna make. Might come from my little cookbook, might not. We'll see. Come back next time, friends. Love y'all. And this is one of my favorite things ever to do. Please try it.